We're at Mile High Stadium in Denver, and already they're coming to the ballpark. They're about 100,000 behind a year ago, but don't worry about it. They're going to draw over 4 million this year. Stay with us for exciting baseball coming your way in a moment.
This is the first game of the 1938 World Series.
He did it! Ernie Banks, that's on it! The Cubs are the champion!
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN. The Cubs are brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. Buick and your better Buick dealers, the new symbol for quality in America. Builders Square, for all of your home improvement needs, we'll get you squared away. Buy Pepsi, be young, have fun, drink Pepsi. Aflac, insuring over 38 million people worldwide. The Chicago Tribune, #1 in sports throughout Chicagoland. And by Southwest Airlines. Fly Southwest Airlines. It's just plain smart.
Value. Terry and Steve Stone. We're at Mile High Stadium in Denver, where they're drawing 100,000 less than they did a year ago, but don't worry about it. They're going to do well over 4 million again.
And Harry, I think this game is probably going to take 4 hours. These are the two worst pitching teams in the National League. Colorado at 5.76 ERA, the Cubs at 6.26, and it's Harkey against Banks tonight.
Yeah, listen, though. You know, Colorado, only in its second year in professional Major League Baseball, is tied for second place. I think they've won 6 and lost 6, or 7 and 7. They're at 500. And the Cubs are 3 and 10. We got a long way to go even to catch them.
Well, Harry, the Cubs are on the road. They haven't won at home. They've done well on the road, and hopefully more the same here. And, Harry, they got to break out of it tonight.
All right, we'll be back with the starting lineups in a moment. Hello again, everybody. Harry Carey with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman. We're at Mile High Stadium. Here's Pepsi presenting Tom Trebehorn's starting lineup tonight of Rhodes in center. Sandberg at second, Grace at first, May in left, Sosa in right, Wilkins catching, Buechele at third, Dunston the shortstop, and Willie Banks, who's won 1 and lost 2, will be on the mound. The defense for the Rockies, Hojo Johnson at left, Ellis Burks in center, and Dante Bichette in right. Hayes, Weiss, Mejia, Galarraga around the infield. Mike Harkey, ex-Cub, whose record is 0-2, is on the mound. And Joe Girardi is behind the plate. And the umpires are Larry Vanover at the plate, Gary Darling at first, John McSherry at second, and Ed Montague is at third. A lot of empty seats at the moment, but I can see a bus is just coming into this parking lot. So it can be very close to a full house. You know, boy, oh boy, Steve, look at the leading hitters. Ellis Burks leads the league, Dante Bichette is second. And almost in every offensive category, you'll find a Colorado Rocky.
Well, Ellis Burks has been a revelation for them in center field. He's given them something they didn't have last year when Alex Cole played center field, and that's a steady defender out there, not to mention the fact that he's hitting everything in sight. And Andres Galarraga off to another great start. As you take a look at Mike Harkey. Mike Harkey's been out 3 times. He has 3 no decisions. The Rockies have won 2 of the 3 games that he's started. And he's gone at least 5 2/3 innings in every one of his starts. Now, I talked with Mike before the game. I asked him if he's doing anything different than he has in years past. He said that his arm feels a little stronger. And he said he's been clocked at 92 miles an hour this year. And that's a little harder than he threw when he was a member of the Cubs. This is a ballpark, as you know, that you have to keep the ball down, especially to the right-hand hitters. 333 down the line and left, 366 to the power alley, and between those two figures, the ball just rockets out of here. And Harry, in 9 games at home, the Rockies have hit 21 home runs. Last year in the first 9, they hit 12 home runs. So this is an offensive-laden team.
Now, this is a mixture, the reason for all the home runs, the light air in Denver, and the atrocity of pitching ability on the part of the opposition.
Well, both teams have really struggled in the pitching department. The Rockies second to last in pitching. Last year they were last in the major leagues. Their team ERA 5.76. The Cubs last in the league, a team ERA of 6.26. Now, I know the Cubs are going to get better. I don't know if the Rockies will get too much better in the pitching department.
You know, before the game, Mike Harkey's lovely wife, Nicole Harkey, sang our national anthem while Mike was warming up down in the right field corner. So the game now is ready to start, and here's Tuffy Rhodes, who his first 3 times up the opening day of the season hit Doc Gooden for home runs. 3 straight home runs. Hasn't had one since. A total of 4 RBIs, hitting .273.
One of the big additions to this team, Walt Weiss at shortstop. He was with the Florida Marlins last year, and he can pick it at short.
Fastball a little bit low. Charlie Hayes playing shallow, coming in for the bunt at third. Weiss at short. Mejias at second. And out Andres Galarraga, the first baseman. What a year he's having again. A little bit outside. 2 balls, no strikes. Harkey 6'5", 27 years old, 235 pounds. He swings and he fouls it off. Swung at a 2-0 pitch.
And a lot of room to hit it in right field. It's 370 down the line. It's 400 feet to the power alley. 423 to straightaway center. So you can hit it a long way in right without getting it out. In fact, last year only 24 balls went out total in the right field seats. Many, many more hit to left.
Line shot, left center field, going deep, extra bases. And on his way to second is Tuffy Rhodes. That's a way to start a ball game. A line double into left center.
This shows you what happens when you fall behind any hitter, and Mike Harkey fell behind 2-0. He threw 2 straight fastballs. This one, although on the outside corner, wasn't a particularly good pitch to Rhodes as it was down, and Tuffy drills it his second double of the year, and a good way to start the ball game in a game that figures to be high scoring.
Harkey's earned run average is 5.79. Willie Banks 5.65. We ought to win this game by a fraction of a point. Here's Sandberg taking a strike. Harry. Rhinos 308, 1 homer, 5 RBIs.
Unless Sandberg gets something he can drill inside, he should be thinking about hitting the ball to the right side and moving along Rhodes. The run's out there to get, and you want to get him home early and get on top.
Curveball a little bit inside, came around the plate. Missing the inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Harkey's best year was his first full year with the Cubs in 1990, when he won 12 and lost 6. Ball is low. Again, he's 2 balls and a strike.
Once again, a hitter's count, and the more Mike Harkey falls behind 2-0, the straighter that fastball will appear. So let's see if Joe Girardi, who knows Ryne Sandberg very well, goes to a breaking ball away.
The pitch. Fastball, ground ball, right field. Base hit, the first run of the ball game. It'll score without a play. 1-0 Cubs. Sandberg 6 RBI of the year.
Once again, a hitter's count, and once again a hard hit ball as Sandberg, realizing it was going to be away, goes that way and gets the base hit. Now watch Tuffy Rhodes. This one a fastball low and away, and Sandberg doing the right thing, going to the right side. Hits pay dirt, driving in his 6th, and the Cubs on top early. Harry, it's going to be a slugfest.
Here is Mark Graves hitting 135 for the year. Curveball is high, and Harkey is struggling. Now he has made 3 starts. He's pitched 18 2/3 innings, allowed 23 hits, more than a hit an inning. Fastball outside.
Normally in this situation, you would think that you'd go for the hit and run. Usually you don't see a hit and run on a 2-0 count because the pitcher really has to come to you and come to you with a pretty good pitch. This is the third straight hitter Harkey's fallen behind. If he continues to do that, it's going to be a very short night for him.
Sandberg dived back. There's the cat at first base. Andres Galarraga, a fine fielder, a big man. 245-pounder. Ball is high. All right, now let's if he wants to walk you, let's take a strike.
Well, Mark Grace, I don't believe, is going to be swinging 3-0. A right-hander maybe because of the short porch, but a left-hander usually taking 3-0 in this part.
Ball 4. 3 men in a row are on base. 1 run to score. Rhodes has crossed the plate. Sandberg at second. Grace at first. Nobody out, and here's Derek May. Remember the first man to hit the home run in the right field bleachers was Dwight Smith.
And he really crushed that one.
The Cubs last year.
The first man ever to hit the right field bleachers in his ballpark in the major leagues.
Runners at first and second. I see where Dwight hit a homer with a man on to win a game for the Angels.
He's doing a pretty good job for the Angels. Well, he could hit. There was no doubt about that.
In there, a strike call. Caught the inside corner, a slider. Runners at first and second. Derek May digging in. Line drive. If it's still, it goes foul. Boy, that ball just kept hooking. He really creamed it.
It was a Harkey changeup, and he's not happy with himself. He got that ball up. Derek May broke his bat and just missed a double, which would have scored at least 1, possibly 2 runs. So now behind 0-2, Joe Girardi going out to the mound to talk with Mike Harkey. This is the first man he's been ahead of, but Girardi doesn't like the location of the last changeup.
Mike Harkey said, "Do you think my stuff is all right?" Girardi said, "I don't know, Mike. I haven't caught one yet." Oh, and 2 the count. Runners at first and second.
Neither of these teams has a complete game this year. So this will be a game where you'll see some relievers.
Fouled it out of play, almost through the fastball by him.
Well, the guy on the left looks familiar. I don't know about the lady on the right.
Right, listen, that's me. Eat your heart out.
That's a somewhat younger Harry Carey.
Look at that black hair,
I thought you were born with silver hair.
You know, again, he fouls it off. Remember Don Hill, a veteran announcer. He's broadcasting now in Tacoma, Washington. He sent me this old story. The girl there is Cynthia Ann Kinward, Queen of the Cardinals Radio Appreciation Day in 1952. Good-looking girl. Line drive, base hit. Rolling deep, another run's going to score. Another man on his way to third. Derek's on his way to second with a double. Hey, he had a way to go. May rocketed it, double to right. Driving in Sandberg. Grace racing to third.
8th run batted in, and Mike Harkey throws a fastball. Very hittable fastball. That brings Don Baylor out from the dugout. And more times than not, this was the Mike Harkey the Cubs saw when he was wearing a Cub uniform. Mike gave up a lot of hits, didn't walk many people. But here he's getting rocked early by his former mates who are showing him very little, if any, respect. And Baylor's out there. He doesn't want to go to the bullpen early because he has been wearing out that bullpen.
You know, I'm looking around at all the empty seats, and it's unusual on a Friday night with the Colorado team in second place, trailing the Giants only by 1 game. But isn't there a basketball game in town?
Well, I wanted to give you some best wishes and salutations from Jerry Sloan, who I talked to before the game. And, of course, he is the skipper of the Utah Jazz. They're in town to play the Nuggets. And he said to say hello to you.
Good. Wish I'd have seen him.
He looks great. And he's got a team that Looks like they're going to play San Antonio in the first round of the playoffs.
Runners at second and third, the infield in. Sosa, broken bat, ground ball, the runner will have to hold. Oh boy. Sammy busted his bat, and Weiss threw him out. The runners had to hold in second and third, and now they'll probably walk Wilkins, a left-hand hitter. And let's see.
Well, you expect from Sammy a little different at bat. He was ahead 1-0. The pitcher's struggling. You know, all you need is a fly ball, and with the infield in, you expect him to try to get something waist high or above. Harkey's been throwing a few of those, but he was over anxious, swung at a pitcher's pitch, and tapped it right at Weiss.
Now the pitch. Line drive, base hit, 1 run is in. Here's the other man. Watch the throw to the plate. Save! Dante Bichette has a fine throwing arm, but Wilkins bats in 2 more runs. 4-0 Cubs. For Wilkins, his second and third RBIs of the year.
Here's an off-speed breaking ball, and it stays up, and Rick Wilkins drives it into right field. And Harry, I was thinking along the same lines with you. I'm very surprised they pitched to Rick Wilkins with a right-hander on deck and Steve Buechele and right-handed Sean Dunston after him. Even though Wilkins isn't hitting the ball, he figures to hit Harkey pretty well, and he did right there, and the Cubs will take it as they jump on Don Baylor's club early, and he's seen a lot of this over the last couple of years.
You know, Buechele is not fast. He's a good clutch hitter. But any ground ball that have a chance to turn over 2 and end the inning. As it is now, the Cubs have a 4-run lead in the very first inning. Buechele hitting .341. Fastball over the outside corner. I tell you, Harkey, this is his 4th start. They have in 19 2/3. There's a ground ball. Big, great play by Hayes. And they get him at first base. What a play by Charlie Hayes. And the lack of speed cost Buechele a hit. Hayes threw the ball off balance out of foul territory.
Well, this is about as good as it gets at third base. What an outstanding effort by Charlie Hayes. He floats it over to first. Steve Buechele hit the ball hard. Charlie Hayes saves a double and saves Mike Harkey some problems. Now they're going to walk Dunston to get the Banks. And what an outstanding effort by Charlie Hayes, who's playing probably the best third base of his career right now.
So Harkey in 19 2/3 innings will have allowed so far 27 hits, 16 runs.
This inning is not going to do his ERA any good.
Oh, I should say not.
There's Don Baylor, who's had his career, his contract extended, and his career here in Denver looking pretty sharp. They like the job he did last year. There's Don Zimmer, former Cub manager, to his left. And as long as Baylor's around, Zim is going to be around. They get along very well, and Zim has the utmost respect for Don Baylor.
So here's the 9th man to bat, Willie Banks. Takes a strike off. Banks has had 1 hit in the major leagues, 1 out of 7. 4-0 in favor of the Cubs. Long, and he missed the curveball.
Banks is probably saying, look, you threw these meatballs to all of our other hitters. I come up, you throw a slider on the outside corner to Knees and a curveball breaking out of the strike zone. Why me?
High pop fly. He hung a curveball, and boy, Banks had a good cut, and that retires his side as Howard Johnson makes the 10. 4 runs, 4 hits, 2 men left. We go in the bottom of the first. 4-0 Cubs. Mile High. Here is Don Baylor's starting Rocky lineup of Walt Weiss at short, Joe Girardi catching, Bichette in right, Galarraga at first, Hayes at third, Burks in center, Johnson in left, Mejia at second, and Mike Harkey on the hill. Pepsi presents the Cubs defense of May in left, Rhodes in center, Sosa in right, Buechele, Dunston, Sandberg, and Grace around the infield. Willie Banks with a 4-run lead. Will be shooting for his second victory of the year, and Wilkins is doing the catching, having already batted in 2 of the 4 Cub first inning run.
There's a look at Willie Banks. Last time out against Atlanta, he went 6 innings, gave up 8 hits and 4 earned runs. He's walked 10 men in his 3 starts. He's gone 5 2/3 innings, 6 6 innings against New York twice and Atlanta once. And with a big lead, he wants to make sure he throws strikes in this ballpark.
Walt Weiss hitting .271. Willie Banks, good fastball. Boy, there's the Danby, too. He started him off with a bullet. Strike 1. Way high. Now that's the only difficulty with Banks. He has great stuff. Good fastball, a fine change, not a bad curve. But sometimes he has a little trouble getting him over the plate.
Tom Trebelhorn shaking his head with the last curveball. Hopefully Willie will have a little bit of a better one tonight.
Bouncing ball. Sandberg has it over the first in time.
Now there's 3 guys on this team that probably know Willie Banks pretty well, and that's Weiss, Bichette, and Ellis Burks. They all saw him in the American League, and so I'm sure they have filled in their Rocky teammates on just what Willie Banks throws, and that is a good solid fastball and a good straight change, one of the better ones in the league.
Here's Joe Girardi out of Peoria. Northwestern University graduate, very popular wherever he's played. Chicago, now here in Denver. He signed a big contract, a 3-year job, guaranteeing him, making him a millionaire also.
It's a common thing around the big leagues these days, Harry. The average salary is $1.2 million.
Now the pitch. After you won 25 games and was the Cy Young Award winner, what'd you make the next year?
Well, I was in the middle of a 4-year contract, so it really didn't matter to me. I was making $182,000, was the biggest salary I ever made, and I could have won 80 games and still made $182.
Here's a line drive off the bat of Girardi, but Sosa makes the catch. So $180,000. Well, that wasn't bad. How many years ago was that?
That was for 1979, 1980, 81, and 82. At the time, the league average was $110,000. So you can see, Harry, in the period of just 12, 13 years, it's gone from $110,000 league average to $1.2 million league average.
I wonder if these major league ball players send Marvin Miller a Christmas card.
I bet you half of them haven't even heard of Marvin Miller.
Well, they ought to sure read his book and see what he did for him.
Well, having been in many of the meetings that Marvin held and knowing the importance of Marvin Miller at the time to the Players Association, he was absolutely a brilliant man.
Here's the curveball inside. Dante Bichette, 6 homers, 17 RBI.
You don't want to hang that curveball to Bichette. He is very strong, and this year he's about 20 pounds less, off to perhaps the best start of his career. And there's the run scored.
Fastball inside, ball 3. Bichette last year hit 21 homers. That's the most he'd ever hit, either in the minors or the major.
He's got 6 already, and he might get the 3-0 green light. It's early in the game. I know you're down by 4, but 4 runs means nothing to this Rocky team, not in this ballpark.
3 balls, no strikes. Strike at the knee. Well, I tell you, there's no doubt as to who throws the hardest on the Cubs pitching staff.
Willie Banks has a very good fastball, but he has to get something to go with it. And that straight change, when it's good and over the plate, is a very big weapon for him.
There's a change, and he got way out in front and fouled him. Florida leading the Reds 2-1 in the 5th. Pittsburgh over Atlanta 2-1 in the 6th. Houston over St. Louis 2-1 in the 3rd.
You know, this game comes back to bite you, Harry. One day after John Smoltz said they might not lose 2 games all year, the Atlanta Braves lost 2 in a row to the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, and they're trailing today. They couldn't have a slump. 3 in a row. Hot shot. Hit a good fastball. And Bichette is on with a single to center.
We keep telling you about hitters' counts, and anytime you see 2-0 or 3-1 counts in an at-bat, you can bet on an aggressive swing from the hitter. And it doesn't matter how good a pitcher you are. If you have the 2-0, 3-1 counts, you're going to give up base hits and home runs.
Oakland leads the Yankees 1-0 in the 6th. Kansas City over Milwaukee 7-2 in the 5th. California leads Boston 5-4 in the 6th. Toronto over Minnesota 4-1 in the 6th. Here's a pitch. Strike call. Baltimore all over Seattle 8-1 in the 6th. And the Tigers lead the White Sox 2-1 in the 3rd. And Texas over Cleveland 2-0 in the 2nd. Galarraga has really made a home for himself here in Denver. All these fellas have. Dante Bichette. Joe Girardi, Walt Weiss, Charlie Hayes. Ellis Burks has been sensational.
And the Rockies have run very well. They're 14-3 in the stolen base department, although this is not a running situation.
2 balls and the strike, 2 out.
And here's another hitter's count, and Wick Wilkins out to talk with Willie Banks. Want to be very careful if you go to a fastball here. Galarraga is strong enough to hit it out over the center field wall. He can pull you. He can hit it out in right. And since he opened his stance, he's been a different hitter. And he opened his stance at the insistence of Don Baylor, who was then the St. Louis Cardinal hitting instructor.
Line drive to Dunson for the... Oh, wow. Did he ever cream that ball? But right at Dunson for the out. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. At the end of 1, the Cubs are out front 4-0.
Is WGN Chicago.
Harry Carey and Steve Stone. There's Chunk on the air talking to Tom Trebelhorn. Chunk is the coach in the dugout. Every manager has one of those who sits next to him and reminds him of something he may not have thought of. Rhodes has started it all with a double. This time they get him easy on a ground ball to Galarraga. 1 away, here's Sandberg.
This is a much better playing surface than it was last year. I remember Ray Sanchez making 3 errors the first ball game he played in this park. And even the Rocky infielders were complaining about it. But this year they've resided the infield. They brought in new dirt for the dirt part. And talking with Walt Weiss before the game, he said that right now it's a very good infield and the ball is taking true hops.
1 out, nobody on. Harkey's pitch. Look out, right at his end. Ball 1. Batting average, Ellis Burks of the Rockies, followed by Dante Bichette of the Rockies. Burks 4.69, Bichette 4.14. Home runs, Galarraga was 7, 1 less than Jeff Kent. Ellis Burks has 6, and Bichette has 6. These Rockies are in every offensive category. Runs batted in. Bouncing ball. Hayes backing up. Here's a throw in time. 2 up, 2 down.
Well, they tell infielders to play the ball. This time, Charlie Hayes was trapped. He couldn't come in and short hop it, so he had to give some ground. But if you have a strong arm at third, you can give a step or 2 and still get the man out. You see Charlie Hayes giving ground, but he knows right over the top he has as strong arm as anybody except Ken Caminiti at third. but he has enough to gun down Sandberg.
Here now is Mark Grace. Walked his first time, fouls it back. Runs batted in. Galarraga's second with 22, one less than Jeff Kent of the Mets. Bichette is fourth with 17. Burks has 14. Fouled it out of play. Multi-hit games. Burks with 9. Bichette with 7. Runs scored. Burks with 17. Bichette second with 16. Boy, they are tremendous. Total bases. Bichette, Burks, and Galarraga. Second, third, and fourth. Fair ball down the first baseline. Extra bases. Grace around first. On his way to second. Around second. He's going to try for third. Here's the throw. Not in time.
Mark Grace stopped at second base, but he picked up Tony Muser, and Dante Bichette loafed after that ball in right field. If Bichette goes after this ball, it's going to be a double. Now watch it. It's just fair. Gary Darling on the call. And Dante Bichette comes over very slowly after it. Look at this. He slows down. He doesn't believe that Grace is going to third. Tony Muser said, "We're going to test your arm, son." And it wasn't good enough to get Grace. Let's isolate on Mark Grace. He hesitates, but he picks up Tony Muser. And when you pick up the coach, he's going to tell you what to do when the play is behind you. Good base running by Mark Grace.
Here now is Derek May. He drove in a run with a double in the first. Wilkins drove in 2. May 1 and Sandberg 1. That's how the Cubs got their 4. Ooh, he had a good cut. In extra base hits, Bichette is tied with Jeff Kent in the Mets in slugging percentage. Ellis Burks leads, 980. On base percentage, Burks leads, 536. Boy, that's amazing. And this is an expansion club. Bouncing ball, nice play. There's a throw inside. Great play by Galarraga, went far to his right and threw to Harkey covering to end the inning. 1 hit, 1 left, no run. We go in the bottom of the second, 4-0 Cubs. Harry Carey back in Mile High Stadium where the Cubs are leading 4-0. Here's Charlie Hayes. Fastball is in there for a strike call. Boy, Willie Banks is starting them all out with his bullet of a fastball, and most of the time he's getting it over. Boy, he threw that one right by him.
Charlie Hayes had a very good year last year. Hit .305, 25 home runs, 98 driven in. Now he's off to a much slower start, but he is a quality hitter.
Woo! Boy, oh boy. You know, Hayes is a fastball hitter, but he got around late on that fastball.
And he climbed the ladder against Charlie Hayes. He went higher and higher with the fastball, and this is where you want to throw that 0-2 fastball. You want it up and out of the strike zone. Make it tantalizing, but make sure they can't get to it up there, and the best a hitter can do is foul it back. That time Hayes swung right through it.
You know, a lot of people have mentioned, here's the pitch, curveball this time, strike call to Ellie Burks. Was with the White Sox a year ago, having a tremendous season with the Rockies, hitting .469. Fastball is high.
Willie Banks is not going to surprise Ellis Burks because Ellis Burks saw him for the last couple of years, and there's major league batting averages with Burks and Bichette leading the entire major leagues.
There's a drive way back, but Dusty Rhodes makes the play.
Cub fans, make plans now to attend the Cubs Rockies series April 29th through May 1st, and don't miss the action when Kevin Mitchell and the Cincinnati Reds visit Wrigley Field May 2nd through the 4th. For tickets to any of these games, call 312-831-CUBS or stop by the Wrigley Field box office.
Boy, Ellis Burks really creamed that ball, but hit it straight away. to Tuffy Rhodes. Here's Hojo. He's away to a bad start with his new team, hitting only 138. No homers, 2 RBIs.
Johnson says he's had a left leg quadriceps problem, and he said it's been bothering him since spring training. And being a switch hitter, he says he has more problems swinging the bat from the left side, although the last couple of days he said he's felt a little bit better.
Here's the pitch a little bit inside. Hey, Arnie, see if you can get that shirt. A lot of people says it looks like it's Cuba rather than Cubs across the front. Let us see. Yeah, I can understand how they could get that impression.
Well, Harry, if you looked at international competition, it might not be a bad idea to get a few players off that Cuban national team. And if they ever open the gates, you're going to see a flood of fine players come into this country.
If I were a Major League Ball club, I'd find a Cuban who I could send to Cuba to get a book on all these young ball players.
Oh, they have some wonderful players there.
But they also have a lot of the better ones who, here's ball 4. Joe Johnson walks. They have a lot of players who are actually too old now to be signed by a major league team. But still, they have a lot of great young ones, and I imagine whoever best knows that market's going to have a gold mine.
Well, Rene Arocha came out. He was a defector, and occasionally one player will come out. Arocha, a very good pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. And there is a lot of talent on that island.
Here's Roberto Mija, the star young second baseman. Mija, 5'11", 185 pounds. Only 24 years old.
And he's off to a slow start. He's making some young player mistakes at this point, a little over anxious at the plate. But they predict great things for him at second base. They turned it over last year after Eric Young got the initial shot there. But Mejia took over late in the season and looked pretty good.
Fouled it back. The count is evened up. 4-0 Cubs. Who pounced on Mike Harkey in the first inning. A leadoff double by Rhodes. A single to right scoring Rhodes by Sandberg. A base on ball to Grace. A double driving in Sandberg by Derek May. And after Sosa grounded out, Wilkins batted in the other 2 runs to make it 4-0. Curveball is a beauty. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Now Mejia's got some power. He hit 5 home runs last year in 65 games, and some of those games he came in as a defensive replacement, so you don't want to make a mistake to him inside.
Boy, that was strength against strength that time. He had a good cut at a very good fastball, which is about letter high.
Hitting instructor of this team is Dwight Evans, longtime star with the Boston Red Sox, although Don Baylor will harken back to his hitting instructor days and work with some of the hitters on occasion.
Curve, there goes a runner there in the center field. So, Hojo Johnson steals second. The throw was wide of Dunston. Probably Wilkins will get in there.
Well, watch the hook that misses. A good pitch to throw, but unfortunately Wilkins throws it on the first base side of second. We'll watch it again as Rick Wilkins, I believe, will make his second error of the year. And Harry, Howard Johnson lied to me. He told me that the quadriceps problem was so bad he wasn't going to run tonight. Now, I'm very disappointed. I could see him lying to Tom Trebelhorn, but not to his old buddy up in the booth.
Goes to show you how naive some people think you are.
Well, he didn't look like there was anything wrong with the leg that time.
Now the pitch. Whoa, he struck it out. Then the inning. Mejia tried to stop his swing, but he had gone around. No runs, no hits, 1 error, 1 left. At the end of 2, the Cubs lead 4-0. Harry Carey and Steve Stone as we go in the top of the 3rd. Pedro Martinez of Montreal leads the National League pitchers in earned run average. There's a ground ball deep shot. Oh, what a play by White. The throw. He is safe. Let's see if he's hurt.
I think Sammy's going to be okay, and it looks like Andres Galarraga might be hurt on the left hand. What an outstanding play by Walt Weiss, who has become a crowd favorite here. Diving in the hole, almost getting Sosa at first. And many times you find a first baseman get a hyperextended left elbow on a play like this. Well, watch it again. What an effort by Weiss. And watch Galarraga as he comes across. He puts the tag on. If he holds onto the ball, Sammy's out. But he doesn't. I don't know if Sammy hit the first base bag. They tagged him, but Gary Darling said he did indeed hit the bag on his way flying over it. So apparently he's safe at first, and that'll be a base hit. And we'll keep it going.
Gary Darling, Stephen, it looked like he was just going to wave him out when he saw the ball drop. So Sosa's on with it. And what a play by Walt Weiss. Here's the pitch high.
Weiss made 2 plays the other night here, Harry. This is the 7th game of a 9-game homestand, and the fans didn't see it all last year, so he is spoiling them this year at shortstop. He can pick it down there. We told you that before the game, and what a play that was.
I can't understand. Why in the world would Miami get rid of a shortstop like that?
I don't know, but he really solidifies this whole infield for the Colorado Rockies, and they were ecstatic to get him.
There goes Sammy. Here's the throw. And he is out. Boy, oh boy, they're throwing Sammy out quite a bit.
That's the 4th time they've gunned down Sosa this year. The Cubs now 6-7 in the stolen base department. Conversely, the Rockies 15-3. And Girardi comes up firing. Good tag by Walt Weiss as he moves across the bag, puts the tag on. Big John McSherry on the call, and Sammy is in a base running slump. 1 out of 5, and that's not too good.
He's stolen 1 and thrown out 4 times. 2 balls, 3 balls now, 3-0. I think Sammy's one of them 3 or 4 who have the privilege of running whenever they want to. The idea being that they know when they can steal, and all 3 good base stealers. Line drive left field. Joe Johnson, 2 out. And it looks like Mike Harkey has settled down.
That's what Don Baylor needs out of Mike Harkey. He needs him to go out there and save his bullpen. The Rockies, like most teams, and in fact worse than most teams in middle relief, and the more you expose them, the worse it looks. So the starters have got to go 6 or 7, as you see Don Baylor talking it over with his aide-de-camp, Ron Hasse, another former Cub.
1 ball, no strikes. Their trainers are next Cubs. Salati.
Dave Salati, yes.
And, of course, our good friend Peter Durso. And who was our farm director?
Dick Balderson.
He's connected with them also.
Very much of a Cub flavor on this Rocky team, along with Don Zimmer, of course, and Joe Girardi and Mike Harkey.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out. Curveball inside. I don't know. Harkey's probably in tip-top shape. Bouncing ball. Again, Hayes backs up. Throws the first for the out. So, no runs, 1 hit. Nobody left. Bottom of the 3rd, 4-0 Cubs. Harry Carey and Steve Stone. Tom Brenneman will be along at the end of this half inning. There's our Aflac trivia question. Well, well, well.
That's a good question.
I had a feeling as Bill Stein.
Okay, and I'll say it's Nate Colbert.
Ground ball foul. Harkey leading it off. Pretty good hitting pitcher. 4-0 in favor of the Cubs.
And you can save yourself a lot of aggravation if you're Willie Banks by retiring Mike Harkey before you go to the top of the order. So this becomes a pretty big out with a 4-run lead, and Harkey does swing the bat pretty well, but he's in a hole 0-2.
Whoa. He brushed them back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Cubs have out-hit them 8-1, or 6-1 rather. He swings and he misses, striking out. Let's pause here for identification.
Round up the kids. It's time for Cartoon Crate.
One out, nobody on. Wall Weiss. 1 ball, no strikes.
You always have to watch a bunt with Walt Weiss, who's trying to adjust to the #1 spot. Last year he hit 8th with the Florida Marlins, and he hit 8th and 9th with the Oakland A's in the American League.
There's a pitch a little low.
Buechele is in at third base, as you see. Mark Grace in at first base, trying to take away the bunt, or the bunt possibility.
Wall Weiss. Curve a little low. 2 balls in the strike. 1 out, nobody on. Bouncing foul.
So far, Willie Banks has been ahead of most of the Rocky hitters, and he's cut through the lineup the first time in rapid dispatch. This is a pretty impressive outing so far in a very tough park to pitch. You know, last year the Cubs were 8-4 against this Rocky team. They dominated them in Wrigley Field. They were 5-1, but they split 6 games here in Colorado.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Ground ball, Sandberg, easy out. 2 away. Here's the answer to the Aflac question. Gary Sheffield, that's what I was going to say.
Well, it just shows you folks at home that this quiz is on the up and up. We're both wrong.
2 out, nobody on. And here is Joe Girardi. Line hard his first time, right at Sosa for an out. Remember, the news tonight will follow the ball game immediately. He started to swing. He tried to check, but he had gone around.
And that's a good Willie Banks changeup. Girardi has never seen it. Banks has used it very well the first 3 innings. And the better that pitch is, the better his fastball looks. And Banks is throwing particularly hard tonight.
Had a cut, fouled it back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I don't think there's any comparison in the velocity of any Cub pitcher. Willie Banks would stand out above all of them by a large margin. The next closest probably would be Steve Trexler.
Randy Myers, I think. You're talking about starters.
Yeah, starters.
Oh, starters, no doubt.
There's a pitch outside.
For starters, Willie Banks lays over the field. Willie's fastball around 92, 93 miles an hour. Steve Trexler was throwing around 89. He would occasionally get it up to 90 in his last start.
Ooh, just barely missed. 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Dante Bichetti is next. He has their only hit. Ball 4. And so that's the first walk. And Bichette, who signaled with 2 out in the first.
One thing you really hate to do is walk somebody ahead of a home run hitter, and Dante Bichette has been all of that this year. So Banks is going to have to be careful. It's a very inviting short porch in left field.
30-year-old outfielder, great throwing arm.
Bichette came in last year close to 250 pounds and is much slimmed down to start this year, and that, as much as anything, is responsible for a very fast start.
There's a fly ball going to be caught. Sosa's there to retire the side. No runs, no hits, no errors, one left. Harry Carey from Mile High Stadium, where at the end of 3, the Cubs lead 4-0.
Well, the Cubs jumped out to a first inning 4-0 lead. That's where we stand now. And very impressive 3 innings from Willie Banks.
Willie Banks is throwing the ball as hard as he's thrown it all year, and he's getting most everything over the plate, Tommy. So far, he looks terrific.
Mike Harkey, meanwhile, roughed up for the 4 runs on 4 hits in that first inning. And here's Sean Dunston to begin the 4th. Dunston was intentionally walked when the Cubs scored the 4 runs, sending 9 men to the plate in the first inning. Got jammed there, the roller to short, and Weiss easily throws him out.
Well, I think, Tommy, you've seen in the early innings, although Mike Harkey has had some problems, the defense of the Rockies is far superior this year with a healthy Girardi, Walt Weiss at shortstop. They just look like a completely different ball club.
Boy, that play that Charlie Hayes made off the bat of Steve Buechele in the first inning is about as fine a play as you'll ever see a third baseman make.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the arm of Charlie Hayes.
No.
He always had a great arm, but the fact that he's got such good mobility to either side set that play up, going well into foul territory, and still had time to get Buechele.
Count of 1-1 on Willie Banks. Banks a fly ball into left field to end the first inning. Cubs got RBIs in that first inning against Harkey from Sandberg, Derek May, and a 2-run single by Rick Wilkins. 1-2.
Banks swung the bat pretty well, and he looked like he was right on Mike Harkey. So if Harkey hangs one of those curveballs like he did the first time, Banks is going to hit it hard. He looks like he's going to be a decent hitter.
Very good athlete, former tremendous basketball player. In fact, the Utah Jazz are playing just beyond the right field wall against the Denver Nuggets tonight. And Felton Spencer, former Minnesota Timberwolves, 7 feet 1 inch tall. Willie Banks got to be pretty good friends with him as he hits the roller to Galarraga that he'll play, bobble, but get the out at first on the flip to Harkey. And Banks said, hey, see that big guy right there? Felton Spencer said, yeah. He said, I used to take him to the hole. I said, come on now. Banks is all of about, what, 6 feet maybe?
Maybe.
I said, you never took him down low. He said, oh, yes, I did.
Well, Banks was one good basketball player. And I had a chance to talk with one of their guards, Walter Bond, who is a Chicago area product, Tommy, and his uncle, Walter Boom Boom Bond, played for the Cleveland Indians. I remember reading about him growing up. He was one of those guys that would have great springs, hit 9 home runs in Arizona, and then he'd come back north, and they used the disappearing ball when he hit during the regular season. So Walter never really lived up to his potential, but every spring they would write about Boom Boom Bond. And I had a chance to talk to his nephew, who's very happy to be with the Jazz. And he says that they've got a good shot against San Antonio in the first round of the playoffs. David Robinson might have a little something to say about that.
And don't forget about the worm. Tuffy Rhodes thought about that one, and he did not go around on the appeal up to Ed Montague. Count of 2-0 now on Rhodes, who has doubled, scored, and grounded to Galarraga. Cubs are in front of Mike Harkey and the Rockies 4-0. We're in the top of the 4th. Nobody on and 2 men are out. Really is quite a gorgeous night for baseball here in the Mile High City tonight.
It was threatening rain before the game, but so far not in evidence. As you say, see a crowd upwards of 70,000 here tonight, they expect. Tommy, 190,000 projected to be here for the 3-game series, which caps off a 9-game homestand for the Rockies. They're right at 500, just 1 game behind San Francisco in the National League West.
Giants having a tough time really putting any kind of consistently good baseball together. And they're just not getting any hitting. Pitching's been all right. But Barry Bonds, hanging around the 220s, and Robbie Thompson about the same.
I'm going to wonder in the long run if they're going to miss Will Clark a little bit more than they might have thought.
They might.
And Tommy, it's not only his numbers, because the last couple of years he was there, his numbers were not staggering. And they were dwarfed by Matt Williams last year and, of course, Barry Bonds. But he gave that team a fiery attitude, a leadership in the clubhouse that might be they're missing this year.
Ball 4 to Rhodes. Third walk of the game for Harkey. He walked 2 in the first inning, 1 intentionally. And that'll give Sandberg his third chance of the game, and we're only in the 4th inning.
Now, Rhino reached out in the first inning and drove a ball into right field for an RBI single. Second time up, Mike Harkey came with a good high tight fastball to knock him back off the plate. This should be a real interesting at bat to see where Harkey goes with Sandberg.
Rhodes a good lead, and there he goes, and then he stopped. Well, he came in with a fastball in the inside corner there.
Cubs have just not been running this year. They're 6-7 in the stolen base department. And anytime you are not at 70 to 75% as a team, you're just not getting it done.
And that went up over Sandberg's head, but a breaking ball that just got away from Harkey. I don't think that one necessarily was trying to send any kind of message.
The message that one sent was that Harkey's having trouble with his curveball tonight, as that one sails over the head of Sandberg. Well, I will tell you, if he comes back with another inside fastball, Rhino's going to hit it out of the park. He'd best stay away if he wants to keep it in the park.
Oh, the professor going out on a limb here. That's so unlike you.
Well, Sandberg is as good an inside fastball hitter as there is in this league, because he's opening up on most everything, looking for the ball in there.
There goes Rhodes, and it's popped in the air. Should be an easy play for Mejia, the second baseman. The inning is over. No runs, no hits. One man left. We have played 3.5 here in Denver, Colorado at Mile High Stadium, and the Cubs are rolling right along. No, don't get worried. Tom Trebelhorn doesn't need to go to the bullpen quite yet. His starter, Willie Banks, thank you very much, throwing exceptionally well through 3 innings, has a 4-0 lead. Willie has only given him 1 hit, and that was a 2-out single back in the first inning to Dante Bichette. It'll be Galarraga, Charlie Hayes, and Alex Burks here in the Rockies 4th.
Well, I will tell you, Tommy, this is a big inning because you're going through the heart of the order. It's the second time they will have seen Willie Banks tonight. So it becomes a very big inning for Banks to try to hold this explosive club down.
And you have to figure, and Stoney, you certainly would know a lot about this, having jumped from the National to the American League. The pitcher should have, as you look at the home run leaders, and Galarraga just 1 behind Kent, the pitcher should have the early advantage. First time these Rockies have ever seen him.
And certainly the first time through the order.
That'll be a foul ball, 2-1 to Galarraga.
Now, the Rockies in this ballpark were dominating even last year. And the thing that held them down was the fact that their pitching staff couldn't get anybody out. But as far as offensively, they are mighty tough. The advantage a right-hander has against this team is, with the exception of Weiss and Johnson, it's an all right-hand hitting lineup.
Into right field, a long run for Sammy near the line, but it drops foul and out of play.
I'm going to give you numbers, Tommy, that will tell you why there are more runs being scored and why the offenses have taken over this year. In all of baseball, saying that the teams, every one of the 28 has played approximately 15 games. Pencils out to 420 games. In both leagues right now, there's only been 21 complete games. That is 5% complete games. And what that means is, with only 5% complete games, the bullpen are in more than ever before. And every team, with the exception of maybe 3 or 4, has tremendous problems in middle relief. And that's one of the reasons why there's a lot more scoring. And also, the ball is juiced up, folks, regardless of what they tell you. Eric Young hit a home run here. He hit 5 in his entire career. He hit 1 to the opposite field in this park. And that is a blast.
Wilkins unable to hang on, so Galarraga still alive at 2-2. And I'll tell you the other thing, Stoney, I think I'm starting to agree with you. I'm not sold yet about the ball being juiced. I'm almost there. But The strike zone every single season continues to shrink, shrink, and shrink. And there's no way that when you get it down to the size that it is now, that hitters can't be hitting the ball. Shallow into right field. This could be trouble. Grace makes an over-the-shoulder grab. What a play that was by the two-time Gold Glover down at first base.
Mark Grace showing you why there's 2 Gold Gloves on his mantle. This is a tough catch. You're running with your back to the infield. You have to make the over-the-shoulder grab. And no way Sammy can get to this one. This is a double. If Grace doesn't get it, it's well in fair territory. Gary Darling there to make the call, but more importantly, Mark Grace there to make the catch.
That looked like a former Haven Moses grab here at Mile High Stadium from Craig Morton back in the 70s of Bronco football history.
Don't forget Lionel Taylor.
Well, they have quite a few names that are very difficult to forget.
Well, the Ring of Fame all the way around. You see Craig Morton, Haven Moses.
But see, I knew that already. I didn't need any help.
Oh, sure. Floyd Little.
Lloyd Banks threw that one right by Charlie Hayes.
Well, he knows Charlie Hayes from Hayes' days with the Yankees. One more high fastball, and that's how he struck him out last time up. If he throws one high, inside, just out of the strike zone, it's going to be strike 3. Let's see if he goes up there again. And if Wilkins remembers a first at bat.
Yeah, he went up there again, a little too high for Charlie's liking.
I'd go right back there because Hayes is not catching up with that fastball. You don't want to throw a strike with it, but just a little above the letters, maybe face high inside, and he'll get him.
Cubs are in front 4-0 here in the last of the 4th inning. And he came with a high fastball, and Hayes had a good whack at it.
And now you've got to go with the straight change. You've thrown him 4 straight fastballs. You have speeded up his bat. Right now he knows how hard Willie Banks throws. And if he can keep that good straight change away, he'll get him. And we'll take a look in at Rick Wilkins, see what sign he's going to give. We'll see if we can read it here. And that's the changeup, folks. Let's see if he gets it away and down.
He does, and down goes Charlie Hayes. 4 strikeouts in the game now for Willie Banks. He's gotten Hayes twice, the fastball, and now the changeup.
Good change, good motion, good spot for it. And Tommy, I started my career as a catcher, you know, back when I was very small, about your size. I gave it up, though, after I took 1 foul tip off the throwing shoulder. I said, this place is not for me. Get me on the mound.
To steal a Harry line, you short guys always find a way to, you know, make those little jabs. And for a guy who I have to look down on, and I might add rather steeply, that is somewhat of a surprising comment. Ball 1 to Ellis Burks.
Well, we know, and I've seen the slips, of course, the tremendous amount of dollars you expend on those elevator shoes you wear. Good looking, I might add.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And it's a little low. Ellis Burks leading the National League in hitting coming into tonight's game at 469.
You don't want to fall behind to this guy. He is as hot as anybody in baseball and hotter than most.
Got the strike on the outer edge that time. 2-1. Cubs are in front 4-0. We're in the bottom of the 4th. Willie Banks, he has got it moving here tonight. He's only surrendered 1 harmless single with 2 men out and nobody on back in the 1st inning. Fan 4, he's walked 2. It's going to roll. That's a fair ball. And it pulls Grace off the bag.
Well, Buechele got trapped on that ball, Tommy, because he was coming in aggressively. As soon as this ball was hit, you know that Ellis Burks runs well. You've got to stay back and hope that the ball rolls foul. I think it would have, but he caught it 2 steps in front of the bag. Right here, Buechele commits himself. He comes in and watch the ball. If he just stays back, this ball's going to be foul. As it turns out, there's no chance to get Ellis Burks at first, so he gets a base hit, keeping that lofty batting average up there right at the 470 mark. And keeps the inning alive for Howard Johnson, who has fallen on some hard times here in the Rocky Mountain time zone.
Boy, to say the least. Johnson, at one point last week, struck out 7 straight times at bat.
But that was deceiving, Tommy, because he wasn't swinging the bat all that well.
1 on, 2 men out. I'm glad you said that. Howard Johnson's a pretty tough guy.
Well, I talked with him before the game, and he's already misled me. Harry and I talked about it earlier. He told me the quadricep muscle was really bothering him, and he wouldn't steal tonight. Now, why would you lie to a nice fella like me? Because the first time up, he got on base via the walk and promptly stole second base.
Well, I'm not surprised by it at all. 1-1 to Johnson.
That was a good changeup, and Howard Johnson geared up for the fastball. Swung right through it. Watch it again. Watch the hands come forward. Your weight can shift. Once the hands come forward, there's nothing in the swing. And Johnson, who normally is a dead pull hitter, especially from the left side of the plate, this is a man you want to stay away from. You'll get that ground ball to second base if you do.
Pulled foul, and it goes to 1-2 on Johnson. Burks this season, 2 stolen bases in 3 attempts.
Rockies 15-3 in the stolen base department, so Don Baylor has them running. However, they don't run near as much in this ballpark with the thunder they have in the lineup as they will on the road. And you can understand it when you've got home run hitters right through the middle of the order. You don't want to get yourself taken out of a big inning by getting thrown out stealing a base.
Burks over at first. 2 men are out. And it's 1-2 to Howard Johnson. Burks diving back in safely. Cubs, of course, trying to end a 6-game losing streak.
Wouldn't be surprised if Burks would be running here, though, Tommy, especially if they're guessing changeup away from Johnson. I would think that Ellis, taking a long look down at Popeye, Don Zimmer at third base, just might be given the go-ahead.
Not yet. And there's a chopper to Sandberg. And there's a ground ball, and they get the easy out. 1 hit, 1 man left. We go to the 5th in Denver's Mile High Stadium, with the Cubs still blanking the Rockies 4-0. I'm Willie Banks thus far. Florida in front of Cincinnati, that game in the 5th inning. Atlanta, could it be the Braves could lose their 3rd straight game? Former Brave Zane Smith pitching that one tonight. Houston in front of St. Louis at Busch. As Mark Grace looks at ball 1 over in the American League. Slugfest at Yankee Stadium, Oakland and New York. And Kansas City laying it on Milwaukee. Milwaukee's been pitching very well early this season. Everybody back healthy. Boston, how about that ball club on quite a roll? Beat Eckersley in the 9th inning yesterday. And, well, Toronto, what else do you expect?
That offensive day when they only get 8.
So Baltimore leading Seattle late, and the White Sox beating up on Detroit. That game in the 7th inning at Comiskey Park. And one more score to pass along. The Rangers in the 5th inning, and your former hometown team, the Cleveland Indians.
Tribe.
They say that new ballpark is something else in Cleveland.
And they say the new one here, Coors Field, is going to put everyone to shame. Everybody tells me it's a beauty. You know, Mark Grace is now taking the count deep. And when he does that, when he's selective, you know that he's starting to feel much better about his swing. He drew a base on balls the first time up, only his 3rd this year. Then came up with a 3-base hit, so it shows you he's seeing the ball well tonight.
And he looks at ball 4. 4th walk of the game for Mike Harkey. Cubs trying to add to this 4-0 advantage.
And good news out of the minor leagues at Orlando in AA. A good friend Connie Kowal down there. Kevin Foster, acquired in a trade with Philadelphia for Sean Bosky, pitched a complete game, 1-hit shutout with 10 strikeouts. His ERA 0.69. So seemingly a pretty good deal by Larry Himes, trading Bosky to Philadelphia, getting a promising young right-hander in return.
And Bosky threw very well in his only start as a Philly last Sunday against Cincinnati. He got beat, but he went 6 innings and allowed only 2 runs. And he's in that rotation due to the injury of right-hander Tommy Green. Want to note that Derek May had an RBI double, scored a run in the 1st inning, was robbed of another hit on a fine play by Galarraga. He won't get this one.
He hit Mark Grace. It was a base hit, but unfortunately it clipped the heel of Mark Grace. So it will go as a single. But what looked like could have been a pretty big inning with runners at 1st and 3rd. Unfortunately, now 1 out. And watch Grace. He sees it, He tries to get out of the way, but it clips the heel, and Gary Darling right on the call.
So 1 on, 1 out. And Grace back to the dugout. Sammy Sosa will be the hitter. Sammy has bounced to short. Single, been thrown out stealing. Sammy having a tough time stealing bases here in the early going. He's 1 out of 5.
And they've got to get his bat going. They can live without his legs, but that bat in the middle of the order has got to start booming if the Cubs are going to score runs consistently. And in this ballpark, 4 runs is not particularly comfortable. There's no way that the Cubs can sit back and rest on this lead. They've got to try to add to it right here.
May, a short lead held by Galarraga, and Sammy fouls it straight back just above our booth. Count of 1-1 to Sosa, who has hit just 1 home run and knocked in 6. Cubs got 4 runs in the first inning off Mike Harkey. RBI single by Sandberg, run scoring double by May, and a 2-run single by Rick Wilkins. Colorado's been shut out on just 2 hits. We invite you to be with us tomorrow afternoon for game 2 of this series. Pitching matchup in that one will be Mike Morgan 0-2 against Greg Harris 0-1. Get underway at 2 o'clock. Sammy lifts one into left field, but room out there for Johnson. 2 down, and May back to first base.
Cubs had the big first, and so far they've stayed right there. It was the biggest inning they've had since way back on April 4th.
6 against the Mets.
But so far, Willie Banks is making it hold up. And it's an outstanding pitching performance anytime you can hold this Rocky team down for 4 innings, but especially in this ballpark.
Here's Wilkins, had the 2-run single to right field in the first inning. And then he lined hard to Johnson in the 3rd. Rick tripled his RBI total for the season with that 2-run base hit in the first inning.
And let's hope this isn't a trend. If you remember last year, Tommy, Rick got off to a terrible start. But as soon as the calendar turned from April to May, Rick Wilkins started to tune it up, and he had a big year.
And if you're wondering about the Cub running game, Stoney, that you pointed out earlier, that guy right there, leads the team with 2 stolen bases.
And when that happens, you know that you are in trouble. Well, Mike Harkey has righted the ship, and he's done for Don Baylor what he truly needed, which was get him some innings. And that's what Harkey's done this year. He has 3 no decisions, but he has pitched some innings for Don Baylor.
He's averaging better than 6 a start. Yanked foul, still 0-2.
You know, Tommy, what I'm kind of surprised at is last year this was a good offensive club. I'm talking about the Rockies. And they went out, they got Walt Weiss, they got Ellis Burks, they got Howard Johnson, all to aid both their offense and their defense. And they made a lot of money, 4.5 million people. I can't for the life of me understand why they didn't address their need, which was pitching. I know they tried to get Mark Portugal. They offered him a lot of money. But after that, they really didn't attempt to shore up that pitching staff, and that was a disaster area.
Well, I know they made a small run at Dennis Martinez, but Martinez, getting up there in his career, believed that Cleveland had a better chance of contending than the second-year Rockies franchise. But you're right. And where they've really been hurt again this season is in the bullpen. The first 3 games of the season, as late as the 7th inning, as Wilkins strikes out, the Rockies were in front of the Philadelphia Phillies, only to let all 3 games slip away. We head for the bottom of the 5th. Cubs still lead 4-0. Tom Brenneman, Steve Stone back at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado, where we head for the last of the 5th inning, and the Cubs are holding a 4-0 lead. It'll be 8-9-1. Mejia, Harkey, and Weiss. And Harkey, yes, he will bat. And there's ball 1. A Sunday, May 1st, Sammy Sosa Pin Day at Wrigley Field, sponsored by Connie's Pizza. First 20,000 fans attending the Cubs Rockies game receive a Sammy Sosa pin. That ball hit down the right field line. Could it be that Sammy will make the grab? Well, you betcha. We had it planned all along. And for tickets, 312-831-CUBS is the number to call. See? What do you think about that?
Tremendous timing. I've always said that about you. And you know, the ladies in the booth next door, Tommy, taking a picture of you.
They asked you to move back.
They did.
Yeah.
They definitely want me out of there. Well, you're wearing the same kind of sport coat that her father wore for so many years, and she wanted to just get a picture of it, see how it fit.
No, I got a better deal on it than her father some
There's no doubt. You wouldn't be wearing it if you didn't.
40 years ago. But at least I can admit it. The difference between you and me is that I have paid for everything that I have on tonight. Everything you have on was given to you.
No, this is Robert Hall's. This is.
See? He didn't pay for that sweater. Take that to the bank. 0-2 now to Harkey.
This is Robert Hall stuff, Tommy. Robert threw it out. I hauled it in. Just an outstanding performance so far by Willie Banks. And Don Baylor doesn't know why his club is not hitting Willie. But they're not doing much with him at all, as he is getting ahead of all the hitters, and he's been dominant from start to present.
And there is strike 3 called to Harkey. He didn't like it, but Larry Vanover punches him out of there. That's a 5th strikeout of the game for Willie Banks.
And just the fact that Mike Harkey batted 4 runs down in the 5th inning gives you some insight into what Don Baylor thinks about his bullpen. Harkey has settled down after the 1st. He doesn't want to go to that bullpen. They've given up a lot of runs, and he figures that his club is explosive enough to use 4 innings of this game and try to get back at Willie Banks and the Cubs.
Here's Walt Weiss, 0 for 2, a pair of ground balls to Ryan Sandberg, and he takes down low for ball 1. Cubs are in front, 4-0. Willie Banks has only given up 2 hits, 2 singles, and there's that beleaguered Colorado bullpen. They have handed away a total of 6 games already this season in their 7 losses, where they had a lead going into the 7th inning.
Well, their stopper has a 9-point ERA, an 0-2 record, and 1 save, and that's Darren Holmes. So he's really struggling.
Walt Weiss is really bringing it tonight.
He's thrown as hard as I've seen him throw. And Walt Weiss has played for both expansion clubs, and contrasting the 2 crowds, he said they're a good crowd in Florida, but here, he said, they are a great crowd. They love the Rockies.
3-1 to Weiss. And of course, being the rather sarcastic chap you've been accused of being, you asked him, well, if there's expansion a year from now, which team are you going to go to?
Well, I figured he's going to make all the rounds.
That's what he said. Well, dribbler foul, 3-2 now to Weiss.
You have to say that this was one of the better acquisitions, and regardless of what Walt Weiss hits, and he's going to hit around 260, 265, but he's going to give them something they didn't have last year, which is stability in the infield. And if you're going to try to build a pitching staff, you have to have a good middle defense. They've got Girardi behind the plate, who's healthy. They have Mejia, who looks like he's going to get better, along with Weiss in the middle and Ellisburgs in center field. They've improved by 50%, and that's got to help the pitching staff.
Hit hard into right field. Sammy not going to catch up with this one. It goes to the wall. Weiss on his way to second base. He's going to make the turn and come to third. And he's going to make it easily. Cut-off throw and right by Sandberg.
Fans here have not had a lot to cheer about tonight. And so they are making the most of the triple by Walt Weiss. He gets a fastball right down the middle. The Cubs not playing him to pull, but pull it he does. And Walt Weiss off to the races, easily making it to third. And this is really the first bit of trouble that Willie Banks has been in. And Tommy, we've talked about Willie Banks and that imaginary ceiling he has between 90 and 95 pitches. He's not there yet. But an inning or so from now, he will be, and that's when they have to keep a close eye out on him.
All right, a runner at third with 2 men out. 4-0 Cub lead, and here's Girardi's line to right and walk. Ball 1 outside, and this is the man you want to get right here and right now. Because if Girardi's able to get to first base, then all of a sudden it's Dante Bichette and Galarraga and Charlie Hayes. 1-1 to Joe Girardi, who has batted in 5 runs this season. Cubs got 4 runs in the first inning. And it's been nothing but goose eggs ever since. Banks has surrendered 3 hits. He's fanned 5, walked 2. But a 2-out triple to Weiss gives Colorado its first serious scoring threat of the game. One and 2.
Pretty hard to duck under a waist-high curveball. That's what Joe Girardi tried to do. Watch it again and watch Joe. This is a good curveball. Good rotation. And Joe's trying to duck under it, but Mickey Rooney might have ducked under it, not Joe Girardi.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Weiss is at third with 2 men out. And Banks turns it loose. In the dirt, it'll bring in a run. 4-1 ball game.
That's a third wild pitch for Willie Banks. And this is how you don't want to see the first run scored. He steers the fastball. And Rick Wilkins, you saw him having the glove turned over. That's not the way for you young catchers to block a pitch. Rick Wilkins shouldn't have backhanded that ball. You drop to your knees, you keep it in front of you, you turn the glove right side up, and you try to block it that way, and that ball just ate him up.
Cubs lead 4-1. 2 down, bases are empty, and now the 2-2 to Girardi. And it's on the ground back to Willie. This will end the inning. 1 run, 1 hit. Nobody left. We played 5 in Denver. The Cubs lead by 3. Fast times and fun times along the dotted line of the American Highway. From the creator of Smokey and the Bandit comes the all-new Bandit. Don't miss Bandit Goes Country tonight at 11:30 on WGN Channel 9. Tom Brenneman, Steve Stone back in Denver. Where at the end of 5, Cubs hold a 4-1 lead over Mike Harkey and the Rockies. It'll be the latter third in the batting order. Steve Buechele, Sean Dunston, and then Willie Banks. Harkey allowed the 4 runs in the first inning, but has pitched very well ever since. And he gets an easy out. Hey, while we have a minute, our good friend Jim Coffey down in the Cubs ticket office is getting married tomorrow to Linda Coy. And right now they're watching the game in Kankakee, having their wedding rehearsal. And we just like to send good luck and best wishes for a long and happy life together. The wedding's tomorrow, so Jim and Linda, hope you have a great night, a wonderful day, and enjoy your honeymoon. Lined into center, and Sean Dunston has a base hit. Sean 1 out of 2. He's drawn a walk.
We'd like to also send along best wishes from the crew to a couple of folks getting married, Kelly Bardis and Gil Whitley. So congratulations. A ringing base hit for Sean Dunston. You would expect that Willie Banks would be laying one down here, and if he does, he wants to push it right at Andres Galarraga at first. Keep it away from Hayes.
And Willie already showing the bunt. That was Harkey was trying to find out. He backed off the rubber, and Willie had already shortened up. Hayes creeping in at third, and there's a bunt. Foul to Galarraga.
That was not quite what he had in mind. That ball bunted a little too hard, and he probably would have had a good shot at Sean Dunston at second. Andres Galarraga probably just a shade under Mark Grace defensively at first base. He's got great range to either side. I don't think quite as good as Mark, but as far as his hands, he's got very soft hands. Outstanding defensive first baseman. Tommy, that man could have been had for most anything because he was a free agent, and the Rockies got him for $600,000 last year. What a bargain that was.
Yeah, well, the bargain price came to an end 1 season later as Harkey tags out Willie Banks because Galarraga signed that 1-year deal. He won the National League batting championship, and he went to the bank this winter.
Well, he deserved to go to the bank after the year he had last year, and of course he became an instant crowd favorite, winning the batting title for an expansion team, the first time that's ever happened. And it couldn't happen to a better guy. Talking with Dwight Evans, the hitting instructor, he said that if I smiled in a month as much as Galarraga does every day, I would lead a much happier life.
You ought to take heed to that advice. You ought to look into that.
Well, you have to be careful about the wrinkles around the eyes, Tommy. You want to keep that very staid expression as much as you can.
Now I understand it. After 5 years together, I finally have found the final piece of the puzzle. Rhodes rips one down the right field line, and that ball is off the wall. Dunston will score. Tuffy into second base with an RBI double. So the Cubs have now opened a 5-0 lead over Harkey and the Rockies here in the 6th. That ball was smoked.
This ball got out of there in a hurry. It's a changeup by Mike Harkey, and the changeup was down, and Tuffy Rhodes just ropes it right off the wall. Dunston scores easily. So the sacrifice pays off. The Cubs have executed very well in this ball game. And Tuffy Rhodes with a couple of hits, 2 resounding doubles. He scored a run and now driven one in, his 5th of the year.
Cubs would like to make it a 6-0 lead as Sandberg steps up there, 1 of 3. And he's down a strike with Rhodes at second base leading off the game with a double in the 1st inning. Sandberg singled into right field to bring him home. Rhino's 6th run batted in. Five runs, 9 hits for the Cubs. Banks has surrendered just the 1 run on 3 hits. A ball, a strike on Sandberg. For some reason, no lead feels safe in this ballpark.
Very much like Wrigley Field or Fenway Park. You just can never have too many here.
And that'll fall over the head of Mejia and bring in Rhodes from second base. Sandberg is second hit, his 2nd batted in, and the Cubs now own a 6-1 lead.
And perhaps Don Baylor, reflecting in the dugout, might now wonder why he did not go to the bench for Mike Harkey last inning. Because if that hitter would have gotten on, it would have had at least 2 for the Rockies, and that's Larry Barnard, the pitching coach. Falling down to the bullpen.
Ripped into right field by Grace, another hit. Sandberg will stop at second. So with 2 men out, 3 straight hits, producing 2 Cub runs. And now the Cubs have 11 hits total on the game. And Grace, all of a sudden, Stoney, may have found that stroke. 2 hits, 2 walks.
Well, I said it when he walked in the 1st inning, Tommy. That's what happens when a guy is in a slump. If he starts drawing a base on balls or 2, you know that he's seeing the ball well, and it's going to be just a matter of time until he starts hitting the ball with consistency. Grace has drawn 2 walks today. He's got a triple and a single to go with it. Larry Barnard out to the mound, a trip that he's made many times here in Colorado. And that's what you'd expect for an expansion club. Very rarely will an expansion club, with the pitching talent so thin around the major leagues, it's very difficult to assemble a good pitching staff. Now, the Rockies have some young arms, but they're still a couple of years away from the major leagues down in their lower minors. Well, it's going to be a while until they can assemble a staff up here that has any consistency, and that's another reason why, with all the money they made, 4.5 million people came in here last year. It's hard for me to believe they didn't address the pitching problem with the free agency.
Derek May down the right field line. Sandberg will score. Grace is being waved around. Here he comes to the plate. He'll make it. 2-run double by May. And the Cubs have opened an 8-1 advantage. 5 hits in the inning. And 4 huge runs.
10 driven in now. Another changeup. Another double. And 3 runs driven in for Derek May. And Mike Harkey getting shelled here in the 6th. 5 hits, 4 straight hits. Joe Girardi going out to the mound and telling him, I just got to kill some time. There's not much I can tell you right now. You're going to probably be coming out of this game, but we got to let Marcus Moore get a little warmed up in the bullpen.
Well, Harkey's wife, Nicole, sang the national anthem tonight, and I don't think Francis Scott Key heard all the explosions ringing out here tonight. So Baylor to make the pitching change. Cubs have scored 4 runs in the inning, own an 8-1 lead. We'll be back with more in a moment. Cubs have scored 4 runs here in the 6th inning, own an 8-1 lead. Harkey leaves in favor of Marcus Moore. We've heard a lot about this young man.
Well, Marcus Moore has a great arm, and all he needs is a little more consistency. And so far this year, he's shown it. 3.0 ERA, no record so far in 6 appearances. Last year, Marcus Moore was at Central Valley, Colorado Springs, and here with the Rockies. 3-1, 6.84 ERA in 27 games, all out of the bullpen. They eventually project Marcus Moore to be a starter in this rotation. And the way the rotation has gone this year, Marcus Moore might just get a start.
The Rockies' bats have been silenced tonight by Willie Banks. He's only given them 1 run on 3 hits. And the Cubs are pounding away at Colorado pitching. Sammy is swinging a miss. Sammy really the only man who hasn't hit one right on the money tonight. He has grounded to short, collected an infield single back in the 3rd inning, and flying to left field in the 5th.
Marcus Moore, a big man at 6'5", 204 pounds, out of Oakland, California.
Derek May at second base, 2 men out, 4 straight 2-out base hits, cashing in on 4 runs here in the 6th. And that one popped back and out of play. Eight runs, 12 hits against Harkey thus far. And of course, May is his responsibility at second base. Harkey only hung around 5 2/3. He fanned 1, walked 4, 1 intentionally. So I think the 6-game losing streak has a very good chance of coming to an end here tonight.
All we have to do is get the Cubs turned around in Wrigley Field. Because on the road they played well.
Beat Montreal 2 out of 3. I think that surprised even the 2 of us to some degree, looking at the pitching matchup going into that series and knowing what Montreal had coming back from a year ago.
And they played well in Montreal and then split the abbreviated 2-game series with the Mets in New York. And of course, it's been all Cubs here tonight.
2-2. Again tomorrow, it'll be Mike Morgan against Greg Harris. And then on Sunday, Steve Traxel against David Need. We'll get on the air at 2 o'clock Central Time tomorrow.
No leadoff man. We go right to the ball game.
That means you can roll in late. Down the left field line. If it's fair, it's gone. And it is a foul ball. Boy, he hit it a ton.
There was no doubt about the distance on that one. But unfortunately, it hooked right before the pole. Ed Montague down the line, looking at it all the way. And Sammy probably hit it 420 feet. But it goes as just a long strike. There's the numbers against Colorado. If you remember here, Tommy, he was 6 for 6 en route to a 9 for 9 streak. At 6 for 6 in 1 game in this ballpark.
2 men out, runner at second base, 2 balls, 2 strikes. And it's fouled back and out of play. Sammy getting some good cuts here against Marcus Moore.
Moore hasn't shown anything off speed yet. If he does, Sammy's going to screw himself into the ground swinging at it. Well, Tommy boy, what do you got to say about that?
I think you're right on the money. Now the 2-2 again, and it's in the dirt. Gets away from Girardi and will roll into the Cub dugout, so they'll hold the runner there at third base. Cubs got 4 in the first, 4 more here in the 6th.
Watch it again as Joe Girardi goes out to talk with Marcus Moore. Overhand curveball, second wild pitch of the year. No chance for Girardi. As you take a look at Tony Muser, who was out early. Mark Grace was out early today taking some extra batting practice, and a few of his mates joined him out here around 1 o'clock. And it seems to have paid off as they have pounded Mike Harkey and gotten him out of there.
on the ground to Hayes. This will end the inning. But a big one it was for the Cubs. They come up with 4 runs, 5 hits, leave 1. We played 5.5 in Denver, and the Cubs lead by 7. Well, the Cubbies are in town, and gives Marvin Freeman, a native Chicagoan, to send along his love and best wishes to family back in the Windy City.
Marvin's 1-0 this year, and he's gotten a start, Tommy, and that's where he wants to be, in the starting rotation. So with 1 start and his 2 appearances, an ERA of 4.50. That 4.50 ERA looking mighty good on a staff that's been battered around for a 5.76 ERA coming into tonight. So you know it will rise dramatically.
For some reason, whenever Willie Banks starts a game, with the exception of his last outing against Atlanta, the Cub hitters decide they're going to just pound away on the baseball. You may remember the victory he got in New York. Cubs scored 9 in that one for him, but only 1 against Atlanta in the 4-1 decision back on April the 16th. Hey, while we have a moment, let's step aside for a station ID on the Cubs Baseball Network.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN-TV, Chicago.
Want to remind you that following the ball game from here at Mile High Stadium tonight, it'll be the WGN 9 o'clock news as Dante Bichette goes down on strikes. And of course, the sad news about the passing of former President Richard Nixon. Certainly our thoughts and prayers are with his family.
Willie Banks with a good high fastball to Dante Bichette. That's one of the worst swings you'll ever see Dante Bichette take. Looked like he was trying to chop some wood. As we'll take another look at it. Watch this one. Not much of a cut there.
Galarraga has lined to Dunston and then hit a fly ball down the right field line, and Mark Grace, going away from home plate, made a terrific over the shoulder grab to take away another hit for Galarraga. He could be for 2 for 2 tonight.
Well, this is the kind of stuff that Minnesota thought Willie Banks had when they drafted him #1.
In the air and playable in right center. 400 to the right center field alley in this park. You got to hit it a ton, and Galarraga well shy of that.
Not only was Willie Banks the #1 player chosen by the Minnesota Twins, he was #3 in the country. I think that was the 1987 draft, as Willie Banks has it all together tonight. Going deep into the ball game and resting the bullpen is exactly what you want to do for Tom Trebelhorn, and get out of this 6-game losing streak and get back on the right track.
Hey, the Cubs have made a change at third base. We've neglected to point out Ray Sanchez is in the game, and Chuck Wasserstrom from the Cubs media relations department tells us that Buechele left with tightness in his right hip, and he is listed as day to day, so hopefully that'll get better for him tomorrow. Hayes has struck out twice tonight. Willie is fanned 6, and he's only walked 2. Dunston diving to his left, throws in the dirt, and it's by Grace. That'll be a throwing error on Sean Dunston.
Dunston got up quickly and had plenty of time to cut down Hayes. But this throw well in front of Mark Grace. He usually scoops those up. This time he just didn't get it. Watch it again. And this one just took a bad hop on him. And Mark Grace looked out at Sean Dunston and said, I probably should have had that ball. Mark Grace is used to making those kind of plays, just didn't make that one. And so far, no ruling.
Well, I don't know what the heck they're waiting for. I mean, little girl sitting down in the 3rd row could make the scoring decision on that play. You got to be kidding me.
Well, then she would have made it wrong because they gave him a base hit.
No.
Yes, sir.
So, well,
Christmas comes early here in Colorado. And that young lady set a base hit, and apparently she's the official scorer tonight. So as incredulous as you seem to be, Tommy, it does go as a base hit.
Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? Pitch in the dirt. And Ellis Burks with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. He is lined to center and has an infield single. Tonight's attendance 54,195. Here's a 1-1 pitch, and it's swung on and missed. Cubs are leading 8-1. We're in the bottom half of the 6th inning at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado, on just a lovely night for baseball. Temperatures in the mid-60s, and we understand tomorrow is just going to be spectacular, up around 80 degrees. I think we're the only city in the country, in Chicago, that's not breaking 60 on a regular basis right now. Little dribbler in front of the plate. Easy play for Banks. The inning is over. 1 hit. I'm not even going to call it a hit. I'm going to say an error and a man left. I don't care what the official scorer has to say.
You're so
of course,
bitter.
You're not going to argue. Harry coming back. It's an 8-1 ball game.
Hello again, everybody. Harry Carey with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman. Rick Wilkins leading it off. Marcus Moore on the hill, a hard-throwing young right-hander. They gave Hayes a base hit. It wasn't an error on Dunson, who made a great diving stop. Here's a line drive. Might get out of here against the fence in right field. There'll be a double to right. So Wilkins, who singled home 2 runs in the first, starts the 7th with a double to right.
Rick Wilkins crushes this ball. Fastball right down the middle, and left-handers love it down low and place where they can drive it out over the plate. Nothing for Bichette to do but wait till it comes down, and Ray Sanchez getting his first at bat.
Sanchez, who replaced Buechele at third base, fouls off the first pitch. We're in the 7th. 8-1 Cubs. A little bit low.
Bullpen up and going now.
The Cubs will be 4-2 on the road, 0-8 at home.
Well,
Can't believe it.
They got to get going in Wrigley Field, but so far they've played well. And there's Blaze Ilsley throwing in the bullpen, but so far Willie Banks certainly doesn't need any help. That's probably just exercising his arm.
Fastball. Boy, this Marcus Moore can really fire. Only 23 years old, big kid, 6'5". I would imagine he's going to develop into a pretty good pitcher. The Cubs now have had 13 hits.
The only thing Marcus Moore doesn't have right now is an off-speed pitch that he can consistently get over the plate. But he still is a very young man, and Harry, I agree with you. He's got a great arm. He has a tremendous fastball and a sharp breaking curve, but no changeup to go with it.
You know, the Rockies have now averaged, there's a drive foul, over 52,000 a game. Tonight's attendance 54,195, making their total for 10 home games 521,731. Wow. High fly ball. Coming over for it and can't reach it in the bullpen. Dante Bichette. Bichette might be favoring a sore leg. Looks like he's limping a little bit. Second game of the series tomorrow. No leadoff man tomorrow. We'll get things underway at 12 o'clock. Or 2 o'clock, rather. Chicago time. Mike Morgan for the Cubs, Greg Harris for the Rockies. Another foul ball out of play. Ray Sanchez, 3 out of 25. A double-header, a double included. It's 9:11 according to the time here, which means 10:11 in Chicago. And remember, the news will follow. What'd they do? Hit him?
They did hit him. This one rode up and in on Ray Sanchez, and it clipped him, so he goes to first base. High riding fastball. Got him on the right forearm. He appears to be okay.
There's a close-up of 23-year-old Marcus Moore.
Bullpen up and going now for the Rockies, and they're getting ready in a hurry.
Ground ball hit by Dunston. Great play by Charlie Hayes. And he races to third for the fourth out. Boy, a great night indeed for Charlie Hayes.
Earlier he robbed Steve Buechele. This time he robbed Sean Dunston. Inside fastball. Dunston hits it right on the button, but Charlie Hayes right there. And with only one play, you can't think about two with Dunston going down the line. The force, and Rick Wilkins doing everything he can to break up the double play. Takes a dive at Charlie Hayes, but he eludes him. Watch Wilkins coming in. Good hard slide and clean by Wilkins.
Here now is Willie Banks. He bunts. Beautifully done. Throw to first. So there's 2 out now to bring up Dusty Rhodes. Twice Banks has sacrificed perfectly. And a base hit now will produce 2 more runs. Tuffy Rhodes has had 2 out of 3, 2 doubles, 1 run batted in, 2 runs scored.
And normally when your leadoff hitter is getting on base, it sets up the whole offense. Rhodes of late has been slumping, but tonight he's been on base 3 times and scored twice. If he keeps doing that, this lineup will produce a lot of runs.
Marcus Moore out of Oakland, California. Fastball is low. The outfield straight away and deep in every field. Dunston's at second. Sanchez at third. And a cut fouled it off. 1 ball, 1 strike. Carl Rhodes. Inside ball. 2 balls and the strike. The home folk in Cincinnati, Ohio are watching Tuffy right now. I know his family is tuned in. Now the pitch. Whoa, did it hit him? Wild pitch, a run scored.
No, I think it did hit him, Arian.
It did hit him, so the runner will have to go back, and Tuffy. Well, wait a minute now. Yes, he has been hit by a pitch ball. He didn't realize it himself, apparently.
Well, I think he was acting somewhat because this didn't hurt him, and he figured if I can get home a run, I might as well go with it. But it looked like it just grazed the arm, sending Joe Girardi out to the mound one more time. This one skims off the arm. He goes to first, loading the bases for Rhino.
Well, that's 2 men descending that Marcus Moore has hit. And the bases are loaded. 8-1 in favor of the Cubs. Inside, ball one.
Cubs last year averaged over 6.5 runs per game against the Rocky pitching staff, but they gave that up against just about everybody, and so more of the same here tonight.
Ball two. You can see what this youngster's trouble is. He can throw hard, but not necessarily over the plate. Here's Larry Bernhardt coming out, their pitching coach.
Harry, with an expansion club, you have to assume that they're going to be able to put together an offensive team, but you have to think that pitching would be their problem for many years.
That's right. And that's why the longer you think about Miami, I remember when they first did it, when they signed Brian Harvey, I thought, gee, what a silly thing. They're probably going to use them to get some young ball players in
Trade them off, right.
But they knew what they were doing. They're able to be competitive by having him in the bullpen. There's a high pop foul. Out of play.
Well, it was illustrated here in Colorado. They had the lead 3 straight games against Philadelphia, and 3 straight games they lost the lead in the 8th and 9th inning. And when that happens to a pitching staff and a ball club, it takes a little bit of the heart out of them. With Florida, when Brian Harvey comes in to save the game, it's saved, and certainly that is a big lift. You know that if you can get to the 8th inning with a lead, more times than not, the game is over. Not the case here in Denver.
Here's the pitch. High pop fly. That'll be easy. Bichette in right field to retire the side. So, only 1 hit, 3 men left on base, no runs. We go in the bottom of the 7th, and the Cubs are leading 8-1. Harry Carey and Steve Stone as we go into the bottom of the 7th. Cubs lead 8-1. Well, here's some news. Joe Johnson leading off. The Cubs this evening place pitcher Jose Guzman on the 15-day disabled list, retroactive to April the 12th, with right shoulder tendonitis. There's a ground ball to Grace, easy out. Hojo grounds to Gray. To fill Guzman's roster spot, the Cubs have recalled pitcher Turk Wendell from Iowa, the AAA League. Today, Wendell has been pitching well at Iowa. He's 2-0 with a 2.61 earned run average in 3 starts for the Iowa ball club. In 20 2/3 innings, he's allowed only 11 hits, 6 runs, and 4 walks, while striking out 17.
I assume, Harry, that they're going to use him as a starting pitcher and take Guzman's spot in the rotation.
Here's a pitch, high fastball. Mike Morgan will pitch tomorrow.
The bullpen up and going again. It's Jose Bautista. And if Banks can't complete the game, this is a good time to get Randy Myers a much-needed inning. He's been inactive of late.
Ground ball to Sanchez. Easy out. 2 away.
This is just a magnificent effort by Willie Banks. He is throwing everything over the plate. The only run scored against him was on a wild pitch. Other than that, he has handcuffed a very potent lineup in a very lively ballpark, making it even more impressive for Banks.
Schaefer, who has replaced Joe Girardi behind the plate for the Rockies. Here's the batter.
Hitting .429, but he's only had 7 at-bats.
So that means the more he goes to bat, the more that average is going to drop.
Well, I would assume so. He had 278 last year, though, but only had 216 at bats.
Curveball. Boy, this Willie Banks has really looked supreme tonight. You know, this club has never been shut out this year, the Colorado Rockies. And he came close to doing it. He made a wild pitch, one pitch before he got to third out, and allowing the run to score in the fifth. Bouncing ball, Sanchez. 1, 2, 3. At the end of 7, the Cubs ahead, 8-1. Harry Carey back at Mile High. Vinny Castillo takes over at second base. Schaefer's behind the place. And Mike Munoz is the new pitcher. Here's Grace.
Munoz 1-1 ERA, 5.68 on for the 10th time. He's only pitched a total of 6 1/3 innings in now 10 appearances. Last year, Munoz went the route at Central Valley, Colorado Springs, and with the Rockies.
Where's Central Valley?
You got me.
As the pitch swung and he fouled it out of play. Danny Schaefer. Arnie's right. It's between North Valley and South Valley. Central Valley. The low, this Munoz throws pretty hard too.
He came out of Detroit's organization. 2-1 with the Rockies last year, a 4.50 ERA and 21 appearances.
Hey, struck him out. Grace, who's had a good night. 2 walks, 2 hits, and now a strikeout. And he made perhaps the best defensive play of the night for the Cubs, with Charlie Hayes having made several of them for the Rockies at third base. Derek May, 3 out of 4 for the night with 3 RBIs, giving him a total of 10 for the year. A little dribbler. Hayes throws the first. 2 away. Yeah, that's it. Save some for tomorrow.
You're not kidding. Especially against this ball club in this ballpark. Cubs seem to have enough behind Willie Banks tonight.
Two out. Here's Sosa, 1 out of 4. Missed a home run by a couple of inches. Right down the third base line. Just hooked off. Bouncing ball, foul. 1 strike and nothing, 2 away. The Cubs had lost 6 in a row. They haven't won a game at home yet. They're 0-8. But their record on the road is a very creditable 4 out of 6, assuming they'll win this one. There's a fastball at the knee. 0-2. Pop foul out of play. Tomorrow game time at 2 o'clock Chicago time. Sunday our leadoff man will start at 1:30 Chicago time. There's a drive. Way back. Way back. Might be. It. Holy cow. Over the center field wall. 423 feet away from home plate. And went over the wall. How about that? Sammy Sosa. As far as I think a guy can hit a ball.
Had to hit that ball 460 feet at least. That screen out there looks to be about 30 feet high at 423 to the base of the wall. And Sammy just crushed it. He hit this ball as far as we've seen in this ballpark in the 7 games we've seen here. Sammy hitting 455 against the Rockies lifetime.
And look how big how tall that screen is in the cleared down screen. It's 423 feet to the wall. As you can see the figures out there. There it is. And it went over that high screen out onto the parking lot.
Sammy has to be pretty happy with
doesn't know
that
his
one.
own power.
He's got to be very happy with that swing.
That's his 2nd home run of the year. Watch this. Watch this. He swings. You think he knows right there? Yes, he does. All right, 1 run, 1 hit. We go in the bottom of the 8th. The Cubs are leading 9-1. Harry Carey and Steve Stone. Willie Wilson takes over in center field. Derek May has left the ball game, and Tuffy Rhodes is playing left field. So the outfield is Rhodes in left, Wilson in center, and Sosa in right. Walt Weiss, who scored their only run. He tripled with 2 out in the 5th. And 1 pitch before, Girardi tapped back to Willie Banks. Banks made a wild pitch. There's a high fly ball going deep in the center. Willie Wilson is there, and he has it. 1 away. Now watch this home run by Sosa. Now watch the center field wall, the high screen. Look how high. Over the screen and on into the parking lot. And the distance to the wall is 423 feet. An amazing home run. 1 out. There's a ground ball to Dunston. Over to first. 2 away. Saturday, April the 30th is Kids Squeeze Battle Day. Every youngster 13 and under attending the Cubs-Rockies game receives the Kids Squeeze Battle, compliments of Ballpark Frank, the official hot dog of Wrigley Field. For tickets, call this phone number. Area code 312-831-CUBS. 831-CUBS. CUBS.
Neither team has had a complete game this year, and if Willie Banks continues to throw like he's throwing, no reason why he shouldn't complete this one.
Bichette lifts a high fly ball. Will be caught by Tuffy Rhodes. 1, 2, 3. At the end of 8, the Cubs leading 9-1. Harry Carey back at Mile High. Nelson Liriano is now at shortstop for the Rockies. There's a line drive, base hit. Sanchez singles the center. Here's Dunston, 1 out of 3.
Cubs now have had at least 1 hit out of every position in the batting order, but that occupied by Willie Banks, and he's sacrificed a couple of times. So he's certainly done his job, and what a magnificent performance on the mound tonight.
I hope that they allow Willie Banks to finish this game.
It looks like they are. Bullinger is thrown down there, but I think he's just getting loose.
Here's the pitch outside. 1 ball, no strikes. 9-1. The Cubs have pounded out 15 hits. There's a foul ball out of play. Coming into this ballpark, you fully expect both teams to do a lot of hitting. But you really kind of suspected that the Rockies would do most of the hitting. They lead in every offensive category.
Well, that's how dominant Willie Banks has been tonight, Harry. And the stuff that he's throwing tonight is 20-game stuff. If he could keep this every time out, he'd be unbelievable.
There's a high fly ball in center field. Ellis Burks makes the catch, one away. Now that ball is pretty well hit, but it's only about 200 feet closer than the one Sammy hit.
Well, the thing that set it up for Willie Banks tonight was early in the ball game, he was getting everything over the plate, and he had a lot of first pitch strikes, got his curveball over, showed him a straight change early, and it really set the tone for the entire evening.
Well, Willie would like nothing better than to get a base hit. He fouls the first pitch back. One strike and nothing.
Willie takes some pretty good cuts up there. I think before it's all said and done, he's going to be a pretty good hitter.
Banks, who was with Minnesota last couple of years, swings and he misses. 1 out, 0-2 the count. A New Jersey boy. Still makes his home there. 1 out, 1 on. Whoa, he socked that one, but foul into the left field corner. One out, 1 on. This ball game's 2 hours. Hey, line drive to the pitcher in a double play. Willie hit the ball hard enough for a hit. Lined it right back to Munoz, who threw the first with a double play. We go in the bottom of the 9th, Cubs leading 9-1. Harry Carey back at Mile High, bottom half of the 9th inning. Cubs leading 9-1. Willie Banks going for his first complete game as a Cub. Strike call. Boy, he's still throwing hard. Neither team has had a pitcher complete what he started this year, but Banks has a chance to do it right here. Galarraga fouls it out of play.
Only 4
How about
hits.
the Bulls getting beat tonight?
Well, that's amazing, Harry. They lost by 10 to Boston at home, and they had their fate seemingly in their own hands, and losing to Boston at home is quite an upset.
Now the pitch, here it is. Whoa, off the pitcher's leg. Here's a throw. Safe. He's not hurt. He's okay. Boy, I was afraid he might get hurt. That smash was in his leg. Watch it again.
Well, Rod Beck, the great reliever of the Giants, is still on the disabled list after getting hit by one of these. Unfortunately, Willie Banks appears to be okay. Dunston trying to throw out the slow-running Galarraga at first, and Mark Grace stretching into the dirt to get that throw, but just a touch late.
Here is Charlie Hayes. Nothing out of 3 at the plate. What he had 1 out of 3 at the plate. First charge Dunston in there after making a tremendous stop, but threw the ball past Grace. And then they thought better and made it a hit. 2 balls, no strike. As Dunston had made a sensational stop, he probably would have had the man if his throw been good. He swings and he misses. Boy, he's had Charlie Hayes missing all night long.
Well, a good time for the first double play tonight for the Cubs. He keeps the ball away from Charlie. He'll get that ground ball to short and hasten this complete game. You know that every pitcher in this situation wants to complete what he started.
Double play ball bounces off the third baseman's chest. Runners are on at first and third. That ball was hit hard. It bounced off of Sanchez's Glover's shoulder and bounced into left center.
This is a rocket that looked like it was going to be a double play. It just hit too hard, and Ray Sanchez tried to stay in front of it. It short hopped him. So now runners at the corners, and the Rockies making some noise here in the 9th inning.
So runners are on at first and third. Too bad that one. It was hit hard, but it made hard a double play. Sanchez had come up with it. It was too hot for him to handle. Runners at first and third. And here's Ellis Burks. Curveball outside. Burks had an infield hit in the fourth. He started a swing. He tried to check, but he had gone around. Most of the fans have gone home. 54,195 paid. Willie Banks going for the first complete game of the year. Wow, what a fastball. Strike two. You know, Banks didn't have a complete game all of last year.
The Cubs would gladly trade the run for the double play here. Everybody back in the infield. But Burks runs very well.
He struck him out. The Buick summary tonight. There you see the Cubs lead. 4 runs to the first. Most of the innings since April the 14th in New York, when they got 6. Hartley lasted 5 2/3 innings. Banks has had 6 strikeouts, making 7 now on only 6 hits. Banks with 7 strikeouts. He didn't have a complete game last year. He's going for his first complete game this year.
John Vanderwall, left-hand hitter, you might remember him from Montreal, is in the on-deck circle. Eric Young is up there, and Eric Young out of the Dodgers system. Young, promising hitter, but it has some problems defensively.
Eric Young fouls it off. Very speedy. 2 balls and the strike. 9-1 in favor of the Cubs. There's a line drive, gonna drop in sharp center field. A run is in. Now it's a 9-2 ball game. He looped the single in the sharp center. The producer director of Cubs baseball is Arnie Harris. Our associate producer, Joe Carneal. Here's Tom Trebelhorn coming out. And let's see whether he's talking with Willie Banks. He's going to bring in somebody out of his bullpen.
Jose Bautista.
And Trebelhorn, everybody congratulating Willie Banks on a job well done indeed. And we're going to have Jose Bautista coming in to replace him. And we'll be back with more following this. Mo Drabowski, the pitching coach, talking to Willie Banks. Nice little conversation. Bautista will try to finish it up. Listen to noise.
Well, there's probably about 25,000
The fan meter
still here.
is blowing the top off the scoreboard.
Jose Bautista comes into the game, 0-1 ERA, 5.56 on for the 9th time, and he's going to face John Vanderwall. Vanderwall 3 for 11 as a pinch hitter this year, and the Cubs play him straight away.
And he used to be with Montreal, of course. Played a lot against the Cubs in recent years. Left-hand hitter. Bautista getting set. High pop fly. That'll be easy. Dunston is there. 2 away. Vanderwall on the first pitch. Pop to Dunston. So, Willie Banks did not get his first complete game in the last 2 years. But boy, he certainly pitched a masterpiece. 2 out, 2 on. And here's Danny Schaefer, who bounced out his first time up. 1 strike and nothing. 9-2 in favor of the Cubs. All their victories will have been on the road. 0-8 at home, 4-2 on the road. That is not like Cub teams of past history.
No, they've certainly dominated in Wrigley Field, but not this year. But they'll have another chance coming home against Colorado and Cincinnati, and plenty of seats available for those games.
Ground ball up the middle, nice play, and the Cubs have won the ball game. Sean Dunston, a terrific play. A diving stop to his left. And there's Willie Banks coming out to congratulate his teammates as they are eager to congratulate him. A wonderful night for the Cubs. They won this one going away, hitting, great defense, wonderful pitching, and they win, defeating the Rockies by the score of 9-2. We'll be back now in a moment. The Budweiser play of the game is twofold. First, Rick Wilkins' 2-run single to right field, which gave the Cubs a 4-0 lead in the first. And then this tremendous home run hit by Sammy Sosa in the 8th inning. Now watch this ball. Straightaway center field. See the 423-foot mark way over the top of the screen. A gigantic tape measure type of home run. And there's the Budweiser plays of the night. Our next telecast will be between the Cubs and the Colorado Rockies tomorrow afternoon. Our telecast begins at 2 o'clock Chicago time. Stay tuned now for WGN News. Harry Carey from Colorado. The Cubs beat the Rockies 9-2. So long, everybody.